Thank you, Lee. It's my great pleasure to be here tonight in San Francisco at John's Grill. As Lee mentioned, a few months ago he gave me a call, and it was something that a little bit of a shock when he said that the Hammett family had heard about my eagle, and I'm just going like, really? No way. I was absolutely taken aback because when I first dreamed of creating something like this, I wanted to call it the Maltese Eagle, right from the beginning. But my lawyers all said, Ron, you can't do that. I said, why not? They said, it's called copyright. And I said, okay, I'll give that part of the dream up, let's keep on going. And so to be able to have it called the Maltese Eagle is something that's a very special thing for me. A lot of you have asked me, what's the origin of the Maltese Eagle? Well, I dreamed about creating a treasure hunt for $1 million back 25 years ago. I actually wrote my master's degree thesis on how do you create the world's greatest treasure hunt. And then things like Survivor came out, and I go, oh, they stole my idea. And then things like The Amazing Race came out. And, oh man, I gotta get this done. And I thought, no, I don't have $1 million to spare, and I guess it's just gonna have to remain a dream. And then a few things happened. I lost 17 very close friends and family to cancer, to car accidents, and heart attacks. One of them was my mother. One of them was my brother. But the one that impacted me the most was my sister-in-law. She was one of the most magnificent people you can ever imagine meeting. She was a PhD in English literature, very well traveled, and her name was Gabby. And my brother and her shared this amazing love. She was a breast cancer survivor, but after the chemo and radiation, she was told she would never be able to have children. During this time, I was hit by a drunk driver from behind at 100 miles an hour. Broke my neck, suffered a very serious brain damage at the time, and I was lying in the hospital bed going, what am I going to do? Has my life actually stood for anything? Have I stood to make a difference in this world? My answer was no. And over the next few months, I heard the story of my sister-in-law, and I said, before I'm dead, I need to make a difference in this world, and I choose breast cancer. Because what happened to my sister, after she was told that she did get pregnant, 3 months after my accident, and 2 months after she found out she was pregnant, the doctors told her, I'm sorry, but you have to make a choice. It's your life or the baby's life, but you can't have both. She chose her baby, and 2 days after giving birth, my sister-in-law passed away. And so when that happened to me, I said, my life is going to count for something, and it's breast cancer. And so what I did was I put full steam ahead, and I wanted to create this eagle and create a treasure hunt behind it where 100% of the net proceeds go to breast cancer research. And so when I have the opportunity, when people like Lee call me up and I can make a difference, I'm 100% for it. And so what I'm doing is I'm selling the eagle for $5 million, and $1 million of that goes directly to the breast cancer charity of the buyer's choice. And the rest of the money goes to raising funds for breast cancer. Our goal is to raise $25 million for breast cancer research. Okay. So I'm nervous. I usually don't do speeches like this, but Lee wants me to tell you about the eagle. Well, specifically, the eagle is 18 pounds of solid gold.
Whoa.
It is the largest gold sculpture of its kind in the world. I'll get a little bit closer. It's the largest gold sculpture of its kind in the world. It's 18 pounds of solid gold with 763 diamonds in the head. It's got 2 perfectly matched 1.1 carat decolored diamonds for eyes, and total weight of diamonds in the head is 56 carats.
Oh my God.
The eagle itself took 4,000 hours to create. Somebody here tonight said, well, I'm in jewelry. That sounds like a lot of time. And I said, you know what? To design something like this, I went through, I think it was 53 gold casting people, and I said, can you cast something like this for me? And they said, are you nuts? Is this some sort of craziness? Nobody cast something that big. I said, well, this is what I want to do. And so I found a casting person in New Jersey who could actually cast it. Because when you're casting in gold, it's not the same as silver or bronze or anything like that. It's a very unique process. And so we had it cast, and then that was only the beginning of it. There was so much more work. We actually went through 7 craftsmen to try and figure out how you could make it look real. And then we had to say, okay, where do we get a stone that can set it off? Because you don't want to just have the silver and the gold, you need to have a real stone. And that's where the story got very, very interesting, because we needed to have something that made it stand out, and something that made it historical, something that would be like the Dashiell Hammett Maltese Falcon that was originally supposed to be stolen from a Spanish treasure galleon in the Middle Ages. And so what we did was, the best story about treasure hunting is from Mel Fisher's treasure. He discovered the Atocha shipwreck that sank in 1622. And after almost 400 years, Mel Fisher's group from Florida found the Atocha. And in 1985, he found it. And just beside, 100 feet from the main pile of all the gold and silver that they found Emerald City. 13,500 carats of emeralds. The emerald that you see is the largest cut emerald from that shipwreck. That emerald actually was given by Mel Fisher to his wife Dale Fisher for 15 years of searching and staying with them. And staying with them on that search, because it was a long time before they found it. Now the interesting thing is, they actually lost a son during that search, and so that emerald meant so much to Dale. What happened was, in 1992, Dale looked at that emerald and said, you know what? I want to make this something very special and very unique. I want to cut it. And they said, are you crazy? It's over 25 carats. How are you going to do that? They said, this is something very special. So what she did was she brought it out to California, where the best emerald cutter in the nation was, and they had it cut. It brought it down to 12.72 carats. And as a result, it's the largest cut emerald from the Atocha shipwreck. It's also the most unique, because the story behind it was, Mel passed away from cancer in 1999. His wife Dale also had cancer at the time that I was approaching the Fisher family to try and get this emerald. So I went to Sean and Kim Fisher, Mel Fisher's son and grandson, and I said, I'm looking for a very special emerald to put in this statue. We want to raise money for breast cancer research. Can you help us? They said, you know what? We have a Atocha Star emerald, but my mother is dying of cancer up in Idaho. We need to ask her permission. So they flew up to Idaho while she was on her deathbed and said, Mom, can we use the Atocha Star and provide it to Ron Shore at a reasonable price for him to put it in the Golden Eagle, in the Maltese Eagle now? She said, I would love to. And 2 weeks later, she passed away from cancer. So the Fisher family has been very kind and very gracious to helping us out with this project and providing really the centerpiece of the Golden Eagle and creating that 400-year history behind the statue. And with the love and work that went into it, we wanted to make sure it was befitting of the name Maltese, because it was something that we originally wanted, and we said, if we're going to associate our names with it, we need to make sure it really is something amazing. And I hope with the Hammett family's permission that it meets that criteria and standard.